Good evening. Going to call to order this regular board meeting of the Ballston Spa Central School District Board of Education for June 26, 2024. Can we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome everyone here in attendance. I'd like to welcome all those who may be watching on the live stream. For those of you who are here in the library, if we have to evacuate the library for any reason, there are exits on either side of me that lead outside. And we have the exit that leads into the hallway there. So today ends the instructional year for 2023-2024. We have celebrated student achievement at our elementary schools, moving up celebrations. We've had our middle school moving up celebration, high school graduation ceremony yesterday at SPAC. It's been a very successful school year. We've had many great moments. I want to make sure I mention how grateful I and the entire board are for the support that is given to our district staff and to all our students by so many. So I'd like to start with all our parents, guardians, and caregivers for being so supportive of their students. I'd like to thank the PTAs, the high school PTSA, our many booster clubs, and all those who volunteer at all the sporting events, theater performances, concerts, science and robotic competitions, and all the other wonderful events that take place during the course of the school year. I'd like to thank the Ballston Spa Business and Professional Association, our Ballston Area Recreation Commission, clubs and fraternal organizations, all the other businesses and community partners that we have out there. And I'd like to thank our Head Start programs, the Malta branch of the Saratoga Regional YMCA, the Ballston Area Community Center for our pre-K and before and after school programs. I'd like to thank our partners in law enforcement, Sheriff Zerlo, Chief Bush, and New York State Police Senior Investigator Werner for their incredible responsiveness, guidance, and support for our district. I'd like to thank Dr. Tarina Parker, the District Superintendent of the Washington, Saratoga, Warren, Hamilton, Essex BOCES, for her and her staff's support. And finally, I'd like to thank our town supervisors, Supervisor Young of Malta, Supervisor Connolly of Ballston, Supervisor Ostrander of Milton, all their council members and staffs, and our village mayor, Rossi, and the town and village trustees and staff members for all of their support. I look forward to next year. So let's proceed to our recognition. Superintendent Duca.
Thank you very much. Tonight we have one student we recognize, student athlete who's had a fantastic season track for spring. So I'd like to call their coaches up so we can recognize Gabby Boseth.
This one work too?
The big one.
The big one. All right.
It's good. It's good.
Okay. Well, thank you to the board. Thank you to Mr. Sunkus for allowing us to coach, and then more importantly, allowing us to recognize Gabby. If Coach Sunkus was here, he would talk about how I'm a stats guy. But I would be remiss if I didn't give you a quick rundown of her highlights. And by quick, I mean I apologize in advance for the lengthy highlights. But I want to keep in mind that I'm only talking about championships and invitationals, not including our dual meets or our regular meets of the season. So first off, let me just say, for any of you that were here for the recognition of the spring season, our season was historic, and I don't use that word lightly. The amount of records we broke, basically anything under the 400 meter and under, including the hurdles, has been broken by our team except for one this year alone. In indoor, we broke over 23 school records. But I just want to highlight just Gabby. I actually ran the numbers a couple times because I was almost confused by how many. Gabby currently holds 8 school records just in the outdoor season for track and field. 8. Yeah, you can clap for that. That's a really big deal. She was on part of the relay team that was the greatest relay team I've coached in 20 years, and that includes 33 seasons. With Petrina, Harriet, Tati, and of course Gabby. They hold the school record in the 4x100, 4x200, 4x400, the SMR 800, the SMR 1600, and the Swedish relay. So pretty much anytime there was a relay that we could go to, they would ask to go, and then they would run all of them. Gabby also won individually the 200 at Chen Envy, which is another one of her school records. And Gabby is also our record holder for breaking the 12-second barrier in the 100-meter dash. Here's a big list of what Gabby was able to accomplish this season. Their 4x1 went to the Glenn Laux Invitational and came in first place, which is a really, really big meet down near the city. They also went to the Niskayuna Medley Relay, and when we had a meeting before the meet, I asked them which of the relays they said, and they replied very, very quickly, all of them. Not only did they win all 3 relays that they entered, they broke all 3 school records at the same meet, running back-to-back relays. Gabby came in first place in the 100 at Colony Relays. Their 4x1 came in first, 4x2 was second, Sprint Medley was second, all at the Colony Relays. Then came the Eddie Meet, which for anybody outside of the track world, the Eddie Meet is like a preview of the state meet. It brings teams from all over the state, sometimes even multiple states. It was one of the biggest meets in the entire country at one point. COVID put a little damper, but they're starting to build back. Gabby was able to collect second in the 100. Then she won the 4x1, 4x4, and 200. So not only did she enter 4 events, she had to run prelims to get into those events, so she actually ran 7 times that day. Because of this amazing accomplishment, she was awarded Athlete of the Meet. Gabby won the double 100 and 400 at sectionals, and the 400's really not even one of her events. She's just that fast that we could put her in and say, hey, go ahead and win this, and she did. She was on the 4x1 and 4x4 at sectionals. 4x1 came in second. Then the 4x4 took first place at state qualifiers. Unfortunately, we could not enter that relay because several of our teammates were going to prom the same day. Gabby and Petrina are ranked number 1 and 2 in Section 2 for the 100. They're also on the all-time list in the history of Section 2 in the top 5. Gabby's also ranked number 1 in the section for the 200, which is actually her best event. The 4x1 was ranked number 2, the 4x4 was ranked number 3, and the 4x2 is the fastest team in Section 2 this year. The 800 SMR, as well as the 1600 SMR, the Swedish relay, also on the list for the fastest relay in Section 2 athletics this year. Gabby is currently ranked, was currently ranked 6th in the 100 and 7th in the 200, but more to come on that in a second, and that's in all of New York State, not just in our league or our section, but the entire state of New York. She also was the anchor on the 4x1 that was ranked number 5 in New York. She ran lead off in the 4x4. Even though they only ran it 3 times during the season, they were ranked number 10 in all of New York State. Due to the prom, we did have 2 freshmen sub in for the 4x1 for New York State Championship meet. Because of Gabby and Petrina, our 2 leaders and our juniors on the team, they were able to come in 9th place at New York State Championships, and they missed the finals by less than a second. Gabby came in 2nd. Here's where it's just amazing what she did. At the New York State Championship meet, against the best runners in all of New York State, she came in 2nd in the 100 at New York State Championship, 2nd in the 100 Federation, which includes all of the public and private schools, 2nd in the 200 State Championship, and then came back and won the 200 Federation, which literally makes Gabby the fastest 200-meter girl in the entire state of New York, public and private schools. To be on the Suburban Council All-Star list is an amazing accomplishment if you can sneak your way on for one. Gabby did that 3 times this year. She is a Suburban Council All-Star for the 100-meter, the 200-meter, and as the anchor of the 4x100-meter. Then she decided states was not enough. She qualified for New Balance Nationals, which is amazing in itself. New Balance is the meet. Not only did she qualify, she actually qualified in so many events that she had to pick 4 out of the 5. What she decided to do was she put the team ahead of herself, and she decided to run 3 of the relays and give up one of her individual events that she qualified at the 100-meter dash. Gabby decided to run the 4x1, 4x2, sprint medley relay, and the 200. In the entire nation we're talking about, not the section, not the suburban council, not the state, the country. She was 34th in the 200-meter dash. Our relay 4x1 was 23rd. Our 4x2 was 18th, and our sprint medley relay came in 14th at New Balance Nationals as a team. Because of all this, I tried to explain to her how big the award she got about being Times Union Athlete of the Year was. I have coached 20 years. I have coached, I believe, 34 seasons. And the list that I've been a pleasure to come up here and announce, no one has ever done that for me. I've never had an athlete win that award. Gabby is one of the most humble and hard workers we have right now. She bought in this year. Last year, she was along for the ride. This year, she's a completely different person, as you can tell by her accolades. So when I told her that she won, I don't think she understands, because she is so humble, how big of a deal. The fact that she beat out multiple seniors, and when I say multiple, I'm saying double digits, that are going D1 scholarships. All these athletes that were at states, they were at feds, they were at nationals. And Gabby, as a junior, won Times Union Female Track and Field Athlete of the Year. I could not be more proud of this kiddo. So really nice job.
Come on up.
Which ones? Easy.
Character, class, and respect.
Brush your hair.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
That concludes our recognition.
That was plenty of recognition and is wonderful, and we look forward to next year. Have a wonderful summer. All right, we are now at the time in our meeting for public comment. Mr. Williams? Thank you. As I always do, I will read our guidance for public comment. The Board of Education welcomes district residents, parents, and other interested persons to its meeting. Community involvement at board meetings is encouraged so that the board can better understand and represent the views of its constituents. Please be aware, however, that information such as individual student information or particular personnel issues cannot be discussed at public sessions of the board. Speakers will be called upon individually. When recognized by the board president, you'll be asked to approach the podium and state your name and residence. Statements are restricted to a maximum of 2 minutes, and speakers will be notified by the board president when his or her time has expired. The board and the district staff take public comment very seriously. However, the board will not respond to comments or questions during the public comment period. The board asks the public's cooperation in maintaining a safe and respectful environment, and the board president reserves the right to limit individual comments if it is deemed necessary. To achieve this, speakers will please not make slanderous attacks on any group, organization, or individual, a member of the board, an employee of the district, a member of the audience, or a member of the public. They will not use profane, vulgar, threatening, or disparaging language or racial or ethnic slurs. They will not disrupt the meeting with loud outbursts or other disruptive conduct or behavior, either during the speaker's assigned time or at any other time during the meeting. Speakers understand that a failure to comply with these rules for maintaining a respectful and productive environment may result in early termination of the speaker's allotted time, a denial of future requests to speak, and any other actions deemed necessary by the president of the board or where appropriate in the matter of health or safety measures, the superintendent of schools. Mr. Dubuque, would you please approach the podium? The floor is yours.
Chris Dubuque, 6 Kaling Drive. I realize there's a time limit on the comments, so I'm going to have to break this up to 2 public comments. But the reason why I'm here tonight is just to discuss an upcoming policy that's going to be voted on, 3419, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging in the school district. I guess I just had some questions with regards to this policy. Looking at it, I could see a few things that might need a little bit change in the wording, but overall, I don't see too many problems with the policy. Seems like a pretty solid policy, and I hate to say it should be common sense practices. But again, I digress. With this, though, I guess my question I have on here, just a few sections. I don't know if you have it in front of you, but I was looking at page 2 at number 2 under diverse schools and learning opportunities, where it is stated one of the purposes of policy will be to eliminate the use of terms and phrases within district schools that perpetuate negative stereotypes and minimize student opportunities. I guess my question is there going to be a listing of those phrases? Who's going to determine those phrases? I know we're a culturally diverse school and district, so what might be offensive to one group of people may not be offensive to another, and vice versa. So again, I'm just sort of curious what the buy-in is going to be on. I know that's going to be an in-motion thing from year to year, obviously. The other question I have with regards to this is I'm also seeing on here with the student supports, discipline, and wellness, employ programs and practices that constructively and appropriately enhance all students' identities, self-confidence, self-esteem, but maintain non-discriminatory discipline policies and practices. Again, I'm sort of curious, what are those disciplinary practices? Is there going to be a list or a further guide that would be available to the public to see what's in place that could possibly affect their students within the school? And then last but certainly not least here is workforce diversity. The district will work to create a workforce that is not only diverse and inclusive, but one that recognizes and values the differences among people. As part of this effort, the district will seek to, 1, mindfully consider recruitment and retention of a diverse workforce in all areas and at all levels, thereby neutralizing stereotypes and preparing students for an increasingly global society, and 2, provide staff with opportunities for professional learning opportunities on cultural proficiency and awareness. And I also like the fact that you're going to get a little bit of a buy-in here from building community conversation by encouraging participation from all stakeholders. So I guess my question again is, who are all the stakeholders? What group are you looking to gather as stakeholders to sort of weigh in on this? What are you looking for in recruitment and retention? What do you consider a diverse workforce? What are the criteria for that? And what are some of the programs that you're going to be providing staff with? And I should ask maybe some of the students with to create professional learning opportunities, but more importantly, cultural proficiency and awareness. So again, any guidance, this is a open policy to allow you to adjust, I'm sure, as it is given, but is there going to be any, subdivision of the policy that will be available to the public to see what criteria, and again, who's weighing in on this criteria? Is it going to be the board, or is it going to be a subcommittee, so forth and so on? So just something to consider before you vote on that policy, and like I said, to be respectful of your time, I'll save my other half for the second public comment. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. It's now the time in our meeting for our student government report. So I see a familiar face and I see a new face. Is it time for introductions?
Good evening. You all know me. I'm Ben Skillings. I'm the new student government president, and this is...
I'm Corinne DeCenzo, and I'm the junior sergeant in arms.
She'll be accompanying me next year as a part of the board. She'll be just learning how to do all the stuff like I was so that she can hold the position next year when she's a senior. So to go over what we've been doing and stuff, we've had a meeting already as summer has begun, and we're just planning all this stuff for homecoming and everything because it happens so early in the school year. I think it's like the second or third week homecoming is. So we already did one meeting and we're gonna do another one August 15th. And we're just planning out all the things. We already ordered most of our stuff and got our checks in, so we didn't have to wait on any money, which is good. What else did we do? We also are planning on doing a lot more volunteering this upcoming year. We're gonna make sure we're not just doing homecoming and then like being in like kind of like a recession for all of winter and not doing anything, I think it's really important that we like indulge in the community and try to do more community-based things. So we're looking at more volunteer opportunities in a collaborative effort with NHS. So we've discussed that with Ms. Carlson, who's the NHS advisor. So that's looking good for the next year. And overall, we're just really excited to have a good next school year.
That's just wonderful. Do we have any questions for our student government representatives?
Yes, welcome. It's not a question. I just wanted to say what a delight it is to have students part of the board. I did see you yesterday working very hard in the heat at graduation, so it's really nice to have your involvement in all of our events, and it was great to see Katie recognized yesterday at graduation. So thank you for what you do for the board.
Thank you guys for having us.
Any other questions? So yes, welcome, and we look forward to your reports and participation at our meetings during the coming year. Have a wonderful summer, have fruitful planning sessions.
There's a lot to plan, don't worry. There's so much to do. It's kind of crazy, but we're doing it good. We're doing it good. We have it all organized.
It was easier sitting in the seat at the end of the table. You've moved one seat over, but
Over and then it's a little.
quite a bit more work. Okay. Well, wonderful. You may excuse yourselves if you so wish from our meeting. Thank you for the report. Next up is our approval of minutes. May I have a motion to approve the minutes for the June 5th, 2024 regular meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Any amendments or discussions? Addition, excuse me? Any amendments or additions? Not hearing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The minutes are approved. Next up is our superintendent's report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Furneaux, members of the board. Tonight I am going to provide an end-of-the-year update on our district goals. And so what I've tried to do is go back and take a look at the presentation from September 6th and compare that to kind of where we ended up. I gave a mid-year kind of review, and so this will be the end-of-the-year review. So, always we like to start with, our motto here, that we're always looking to partner with families and the community to help our students become well-established, well-rounded adults, and our goal of a meaningful diploma for all students. So something that we strive for at all levels to make sure that we're giving students pathways to be successful in what they choose. And so on to the goals. And so part of our developing our district goals, what we tried to do was identify both short-term and long-term goals that will have positive outcomes for students. So we really wanted to ground our decisions when we talk about goals and what's going to be best for our students. And so at the beginning, over the summer, and at the end of the summer and into the fall, we identified some district goals: family and community engagement, MTSS, addressing chronic absenteeism, curriculum instruction assessment, DEI, and our capital building projects. So I'll start with family and community engagement. So one-year goal to try and engage our parents and caregivers to enhance students' school experience. And so you see our action steps here to try to provide more workshop offerings, collaborate with our community partners, launch our new website. And so I've kind of organized it as the goal and then the end of the year update here. So as you know, we did have a very successful, a little bit late, but a very successful launch of our website. But sometimes you don't want to rush those things to make sure everything is looking good and clean. And so far, I've heard nothing but positive feedback from our website. That is something that we're going to continue to develop to make it a much more user-friendly and create that interface with the community so they can find things easily. We can get the messaging out. If folks are curious about the district, a particular building, a department, there's going to be a lot more resources posted as we move forward with the new website. We've continued to expand our community partnerships. Some of these are well-established events that the district has had, but we've really expanded to try to bring in more of our community partners. So the Scotty's Closet and Community Resource Fair, we had a lot more community organizations come in and provide resources for our families that attended the Scotty's Closet. The Wellness Expo, I believe we had 47 groups, so that was a really well-attended event. We had our career fair at Wood Road Milton Terrace. I believe we had 34 different entities and organizations, myself included, that spent the day with students talking about, our job and what they do and answering questions. Principal Robinson created the high school stakeholders group, which was pretty successful this year. He's looking to expand on that. Then we pulled in, we didn't do the Scotty's 5K this year, but we had a larger turnout for the Family Color Run, which we pulled in some other district partnerships. And so this is something I'm quite proud of. We've really expanded our parent workshops and informational events. So the first one here, the Parents as Partners webinar series, this was super successful. We ran 10 webinars that ran on a particular evening, and we did get a really good amount of traffic to watch those webinars, but where we really picked up a lot of viewers, we had the license for 30 days. So, webinar one would run the night it was supposed to run, and then we'd have that license, and folks could go in, access through our website, and watch those webinars for an additional 30 days. And so Kevin Flores reached out to the Parents as Partners, and the woman who runs it actually said that our district was the highest as far as viewership over the course of the 30 days. So we had a lot of families use this, and we're going to continue this next year. Topics will vary, and it's really great because it's kind of like an a la carte. Like if there's something that you're really interested in, you can watch it. I think word of mouth spreads a little bit, and then people say, oh, I should watch that too, and then they're able to access it for 30 days. This is something that we've done right under your nose for many years. I actually love this. Every time I go, I learn something new. And for those of you who aren't familiar, it's just a teenager's bedroom is set up, and we usually host it here, and it's set up in the corner, and they hide different sorts of paraphernalia or vapes or different things like that, and we have parents kind of go through and try to identify these things, and then there's a presentation on, not only the dangers, but what the new trend is or the new things look like, to kind of give some more information and some more resources to our parents. James's Warriors is something that we've partnered with a former employee for suicide prevention. We had Uncommon Sense Internet Safety presentation this year. Then we had a couple of special education presentations for our family, so promoting improved sensory regulation at home and behavioral supports for our children, along with the substance use education and prevention. And so one of the things that we're going to look to do next year is we're always looking at ways to improve our attendance at these events, whether it's potentially providing food or childcare. We've tried that. One of the ideas that we're thinking about is doing sort of a parent resource conference day on a Saturday, like a half day, where we can bring in a few of these different entities and have kind of a conference event where folks can come in and go to different talks, and maybe we can have some of these talks, repeated, every couple hours. So that's something that's in the works. So continuing, I know this is a one-year goal, but it's going to be kind of the philosophy of our district. We're going to continue to expand upon our family and community engagement. So multi-tiered systems of support is what I'll talk about next. And so again, 1 year time frame, just to kind of assess where we were at. This will certainly be expanded upon in next year's goals. But a couple action steps here: complete the internal audit, ensure consistency, PD for stakeholders. And so our audit, as you know, was completed by Dr. Sisk. The findings and recommendations were presented to administrators, to the board, and she also presented to all the building faculties at various meetings throughout the year. Surveys have been administered not only to administrators, but also building level staff. We have policy 7212, our multi-tiered systems of support, that was adopted on May 22nd. And we've also created the district level MTSS committee that has been created and began meeting in the spring. These are the members of our district level implementation committee. So this committee has met twice in the spring. We'll continue to meet next fall, and we'll continue to expand upon. From here, we're going to have several different building level committees. So we have a pretty good representation of administrators, teachers from different departments, but we're always trying to look and refine, and we'll potentially add some more committee members to the district level team, but also start to push into the buildings next year as we move on with this. Addressing chronic absenteeism. So, obviously the goal to address the absenteeism in order to improve academic achievement and success. We all know if our kids are here, they're going to be successful. I was at middle school moving up today, and Matt's message to the incoming ninth graders was to be present. Be here and be present where you're standing. Focus. Come to math class, focus on math. Go to English class, focus on English. But really to be present. So he had a nice message for our students this morning. And so kind of the end of the year updates, or our Attendance Matters campaign was launched across the district. All of our buildings have made reducing student absence a priority. Several of our buildings in elementary schools and the middle school have begun attendance recognition. And we're not shooting for perfect attendance, but just improved. So sometimes at the elementary level, talking to a few of the principals, that they saw such an improvement by recognizing our younger students for improvement over the course of a month, over the course of 6 months, that it just kind of fed them to want to come to school and become recognized. So it's not that you have to be perfect, but we just need to show improvement. And so as we show improvement, we keep building upon that and expanding upon that, and hopefully this will start to move the needle. Some of our buildings saw great improvement this year in absenteeism. Some, are still working through kind of how to refine and have that kind of one-on-one relationship with students and families to kind of prioritize education, but we're all working on it. And the important part here is it's not just a one-person show. Our principals are collaborating with their building leadership teams, and all of them have goals at improving student attendance. Curriculum, instruction, and assessment. Continue to identify areas for improvement. This time frame is 3 years, so this year our action steps, we're looking to identify gaps, creating opportunities for feedback, providing PD, and having those measurable goals. And so, at the elementary level, we started K-5 district grade level curriculum meetings, and the initial target was to improve student writing across the K-5 curriculum. And so we had several meetings in the fall and had a few workshops to kind of supplement the curriculum for that. But out of that also, we were able to revamp the elementary report card. And so that was something that was kind of under construction for, about 4 years. But there were some members from each grade level that provided a lot of great feedback and input. And we were able to develop and finalize that, and that'll be implemented for the 24-25 school year in the fall. So, the old report card, there was kind of a crosswalk, which was a little bit wonky for parents to kind of put things together. This is a lot more simplified and really aligns with the curriculum that we have. So we'll be implementing that in the fall. As you know, we're able to offer 2 superintendent's conference days, one in October and one in April. And these were developed as, our PDC has been here to present that what we strive for on those superintendent conference days is to listen to our staff and to really offer workshops that are going to be meaningful for them. And so we had a couple board members attend, one of them, and the one in the fall was a little bit more robust than the one in the spring. But in the fall, we were able to offer 68 workshops. In the spring, we were able to offer 33 plus a mandatory workplace violence training that we all had to take. But we'll continue this practice. And so when we talk about curriculum instruction and assessment, this touches everything that we do. And so, for next year, there's going to be focuses on some PD related to special education, our MTSS, DEI, and so our PDCs are working on what types of professional development opportunities we're going to offer, not only on superintendent's conference days, but also throughout the year. So sometimes, well, I shouldn't say sometimes, we offer a lot of 10-part series, and so we're refining that this summer to be able to launch that in the fall. As you know, with our building principal updates for their goals, they've all created measurable goals aimed at using data to increase academic proficiency. Our technology department has partnered with the high school to pilot an AI instructional group, and they'll be presenting at a later board meeting on kind of their findings and some of their recommendations with artificial intelligence. And then to kind of, compound onto the programming that we offer from the student support side, we've also had a lot of various evening events, including reading and math game nights, school and grade level transition programs, whether it be from 5th to 6th grade, 8th to 9th, our P-TECH, and also financial aid and FAFSA informational nights for our students who are preparing to apply to colleges. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so the goal for this was to develop a plan and vision that supports ongoing efforts to further diversity, inclusion, and equity across our district. Time frame of 3 years, so year one, we kind of had some action steps. And so the district steering committee has been created and meets monthly. I started meeting probably right around January. And so out of the first couple meetings, we created 3 subcommittees within that initial district steering committee. And the subcommittees focus on policy, the vision, and surveys. And so as we move forward in this, we plan to solicit stakeholder feedback through both student and parent panels. And so we're working through how do we want to get that word out, whether it be like an application or some sort of, we're using exemplars from other districts who have done it before. The DEI steering committee, you see it's a good mix of administrators and staff, teachers, TAs from all different levels, elementary, middle school, high school. And these folks are super dedicated. The meetings are energetic, but there's also a lot of work that gets done in a very short amount of time because they're so dedicated to this particular topic. And so policy 3419, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging in the school district is currently tabled for the mandatory 28-day read period. What I just mentioned, we're working on several PD or professional development opportunities, and that's kind of going to be a priority for the district starting in 2024. And we're currently developing surveys that are going to solicit feedback from stakeholder groups across not only the district, but also our surrounding community. And our final goal was the capital project. And so initially the goal was to begin the process to determine what will be included on the capital project by engaging the stakeholders. So 3-year timeline, and we're coming up on year 1, solicit stakeholder feedback. And so the update for this is obviously the architect selection process has been completed and the contract has been executed with CS Arch. I completed internal meetings over the past few weeks with building principals and department heads, music, arts, athletics, and I met with them with the team from CS Arch to talk about needs and wants and kind of an internal assessment. The next step is they're going to kind of come in and do their building assessments. The CS Arch team is ready and able to meet with the board over the summer, and we're going to begin to develop surveys to solicit community stakeholder feedback as we move forward with our capital project. And so all these things kind of fit together into our commitments, and really the big commitment that we have is that we're here to maximize the success of our students. And these kind of tenets are where we want them to feel safe and secure in our buildings and on our grounds. We're committed to prioritizing student, family, and community engagement, building our students' leadership capacity across the district and region, and also committed to delivering that high-quality curriculum and instruction to our students. And so that is the update, and I'm happy to take questions.
Questions, please, from the board members.
Hi. Yes. So, with regards to chronic absenteeism, first do want to recognize that a lot of the buildings did a great job addressing the individual aspects with each individual students. Personally, I would like to see more of community-based programs and initiatives. One, I feel like it creates awareness to the issue at hand that I feel like a lot of people may not be aware to. Yep. And also, I think it builds a stronger and a larger support system to address the problem. So a question would be, any plans currently to take more of a community-based approach?
Yeah, I mean, I think you bring up a good point. It's not just what we do in the school, but what we're doing for families and caregivers and parents outside of school to kind of help them address. Maybe you have a child who doesn't want to come to school. What tools are we providing to help them? It's one thing, as a principal, I would make house visits, and that only goes so far. I can only go and do that a couple times, or we can send transportation, but we're not going to do that every day. It has to be a partnership with families. And so some of our schools have moved to sending attendance letters, but also providing them some resources when they send the attendance letters, and we're certainly going to expand upon that. But I think your point is key. We got to make sure that our families understand that attendance really does matter, and they have to do everything they can on their end to get their students into school. And if they can't, we need to know what the barriers are. We can solve a lot of problems if we know about them. And so kind of maybe removing the stigma and helping build those relationships and helping have those open lines of communication are really going to help our building level teams, whether it be principals or counselors or social workers, come up with ideas, or if there's a true barrier that they can't solve for, come to me, come to Brian, come to transportation. We can try to do our best to figure it out to make sure we're getting these kids to school.
Other questions?
When you talked about the capital project,
Yeah.
do you have an estimation of when you are going to be sending out the survey to the community stakeholders?
So right now, I think a fair timeline would be the fall. Work on it, kind of, have CSRH meet with the board, take into account our internal kind of feedback and meetings that we've had, and then formulate some surveys that we can put out to, staff, families, but also the community in general. I'm envisioning right now probably 3 different surveys to kind of hit all 3 different stakeholder groups, and I'd like to get those out, early fall.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Hold on.
I guess just to kind of piggyback onto that, are we still maybe scheduled for next May vote for any capital project improvement?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that we'll have to discuss, this summer. We're gonna, basically, what CSRH is doing is they're gonna kind of pull everything together, and then as the board and myself are gonna have to make some decisions on what we want included, and that's gonna really kind of dictate, when do we want to go out for a vote. So at this point, I'm not ready to kind of commit to a timeline on when we're going to put the vote out, but we're taking all the steps to move that forward. And as soon as we make a decision, we'll start to kind of communicate that out.
Okay.
All right.
Other questions? I think I have, and we've talked about this in prior meetings, just it'd be very interesting to see exactly what kind of data we have to support whether we've had progress or regression or stayed level on the attendance issue. And then, of course, we're always interested in academic achievement, and we look forward to, once the data is compiled from the end of year this year, getting an update on what that ends up looking. And next year we'll have the regular schedule of the updates from the beginning of year assessments, middle of year, and then again the end of year.
Absolutely.
I think that's all we have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for the update.
Just leave that.
Committee reports. We had an audit committee meeting.
Yes, thank you, Jason. The audit committee met today to go over internal audit from Benadio and Company, if I'm saying that correctly. Tim was very helpful in presenting the findings. He audited, or the company audited, purchasing controls over the year, mainly as a different area each year that we review. Focused on purchases less than $20,000, since the district felt comfortable with the controls that we have in place for larger purchases. Audited the Ballston Spa policy and procedures, and did not see anything with those. They were in order. Did have some minor documentation omissions that were unrelated to the bids or the actual purchases themselves, and the district will be implementing a corrective action plan for that documentation correction. So that's all we have. Any questions from the board members? No? All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ryan. Correspondence to the district.
We had 15 total this time period, 11 emails, one on a disciplinary appeal, 2 related to the heat index, 1 related to facilities use, 1 related to residency, 1 related to a regents exam, 1 related to employment, 1 praising students who qualified for the rowing national championships, and 3 praising staff at Wood Road. We had 3 phone calls, 1 regarding student matter, 2 regarding testing accommodations, and then we had 1 letter, letter of appreciation for some of our staff members and all they do for our students.
Thank you. Correspondence to the board since the last meeting. The board has received 5 emails. 1 was regarding the Wood Road Career Fair, 1 regarding temperatures in schools during the school day, one regarding use of athletic fields, one regarding the New York State School Board's advocacy for public school swimming pool funding, and one regarding a personnel matter. It's time for announcements. Mr. Williams? There are no announcements.
Fade to black.
Fade to black, that's appropriate.
Any announcements from board members, liaisons? Anything? Okay. Old business. Any old business from the district?
None.
The board members? Mr. Ryan?
Yes, Jason, I did want to review, I know it's being tabled for the 28 days, the DEI policy 3419. First, I want to say I think it's a great policy. I think the intent and what the district is trying to do with this is very good for our students. The one thing that the lines is the district recognizes that students have been historically marginalized, and kind of going back to where DEI came from, I think 2019, 2018, from the Board of Regents. And the one thing that just didn't sit always right with me is they were saying there was systemic racism in education in this time period, which, and at the time they didn't give a lot of examples for that. They did then in 2021 provide a workshop document that provided a couple more clarifications for what they meant by that. There's 4 bullet items, and I'm just going to read through them real quick, just for the board members' awareness.
And I'm sorry, again, the source for this is?
The source is New York State Board of Regents Framework on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion in New York Schools, a call to action. This was April 2021, and it's in our DEI folder.
Nice.
So,
Thank you so much.
yeah. So it first starts with saying that the Board of Regents, what's in their purview for New York State. This is the board, obviously for educational purposes, but then also says the board may also exercise its authority by adopting policy positions on issues of significant educational and societal importance. Educational, yes. Societal importance, I don't think it, in my opinion, that it should fall under that, but that's where they're going with this, and it's my comments for tonight. So they go on to talk about a confluence of events that has brought us to this reckoning of why they feel DEI is important. Bullet number 1, the senseless, brutal killing of black and brown men and women at the hands of law enforcement and the ensuing demands for real and enduring racial justice in the face of this inhumanity. Bullet number 2, a dangerous spike in violence aimed at Asian Americans, Pacific Islanders, fueled in part by lies that attempt to link the Asian community with the creation and the spread of coronavirus. Bullet number 3, a renewed wave of discrimination and hateful rhetoric directed at those thought to be of somehow not, in their quote, air quotes, not quite American, including but not limited to Jewish Americans, Muslim Americans, LGBTQ individuals, individuals with disabilities, immigrants and refugees, especially those arriving at the southern border. And bullet number 4, the terrible toll of COVID-19 has had on our lives, communities, and school systems. The disproportionate impact of this pandemic has surfaced and further exacerbated long-standing educational inequities, predominantly impacting Black, Latinx, Asian, Indigenous, and poor student populations and students with disabilities. Additionally, school closures and the resulting learning loss of the most marginalized students compound existing learning disparities, leading to the potential for poor life outcomes and lingering long-term effects. The reason why I wanted to state that is only one of those bullet points talked about education, which I see as the purview of the Board of Regents. And I kind of want to have so I'm happy with where we landed up with the DEI and the policies and the implementation of that, particularly when you review other guidance in this document is the danger of a single story, which I think their definition would be like what our history has been taught and how we need to really expand the history from different perspectives. I'm in full support of that. That's really one of the mainstays of, I think, the DEI policy, that the district can go forward with that. I just want it to be noted, and I don't know if I really have any recommendations for the policy change, and I'm bringing it up with my board members for them to think about it over the next couple of weeks until we vote on it at the next meeting. Just about the history of this and kind of the separation of the critical race theory, systemic racism, that was kind of at the high level, but where we ended up in the DEI realm of supporting students is positive.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Ryan?
Yeah, obviously I'm not going to be voting on this matter as this is my last meeting, but I will make a suggestion that based off the bullet points you described, it may not be abundantly clear, but there is some intersectionality between what you've discussed and education. So if you care to take the time upon yourself, I mean, you can look into papers and whatever else that may discuss where those two may meet up. So that's.
Other?
I'm confused on what you're questioning, to be honest.
The question is the policy says the district recognizes that students have been historically marginalized. Historically could be, it depends on the time frame, right? So does it mean the last 200 years? Does it mean the last 20 years? Does it mean the last 10 years? And I would say definitely since the civil rights movement of the 1960s, there have been great strides in reducing racism in lots of different organizations, education being one of them. The Board of Regents, in my opinion, has the purview of education, and I think they're kind of expanding their philosophy from this. So that's why I'm trying to separate where they're starting with the critical race theory mantra to where we end up with the DEI. I just wanted to make sure that our policy is looking forward and not looking backward.
I just don't understand why you keep having to say critical race theory. This policy that was written by the committee really is very, light. It doesn't bring in any heaviness at all, and you're bringing in the heaviness.
The heaviness was come from the Board of Regents.
But our policy does not bring in the heaviness.
But the policy is stating that students were historically marginalized, right? In 2019, when DEI was first being proposed, I didn't see the Board of Regents providing specific examples of what they were referring to of systemic racism in education. Is there any examples? Something?
Yeah, I guess I just want to make a process comment based on being part of one of the committee members, which is that we made a really clear and conscious effort to focus on the students in our district and their experiences and the values of our district and the values that folks were wanting to see implemented. And so that was our focus, right? Like that was our focus. And I will say that it was a really positive experience, and I just appreciate everyone's willingness to talk about their different experiences. And we did hear about students experiencing marginalization, experiencing bullying, experiencing instances of not feeling like they fully belong. And that came in all different shapes and forms, right? And so, again, I think from a process point of view, if we can focus on the students in our district, the needs that they all have to belong, I just think we're going to be better for it. So that would be my preference to stay focused on that. And I think, again, the policy can be, policies can always be improved, but I'm really proud of what we came up with. I think it's good. I think it's clear. I think it speaks in everyday language. I think it's not, it's not theoretical. You know, it's about our students, our teachers, our staff, our community, and our values. So for me, that's a pretty good starting point.
Thank you for your comments. So, thank you, Mr. Ryan. I think your comments were heard, and we have another 2 weeks to think about and deliberate, and then we'll revisit at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Any other old business? Okay, on to new business. I have a motion to approve resolution number 589, district and building safety plans.
So moved.
Any discussion?
Jason?
Yes, Mr. Ryan.
Dr. Duca, I know we usually put this on an annual basis, I believe. Any updates since the last time?
Like from year to year?
From year to year, yeah.
Just essentially name changes on, we've had some transition, some turnover.
Right.
So the updates were essentially name changes, but nothing to the actual plans or anything that, like the physical buildings or any of the evacuation plans or things like that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Not hearing any. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Resolution number 589 passes. I have a motion to approve resolution number 590, agreement, Ballston Area Recreation Commission.
So moved.
Any discussion?
I just wanted to say how important the services that BARC offers to our community and thank all of their board for the work that they do on behalf of that organization.
Absolutely. Heartily agree. Any other discussion, comments? Not hearing any. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Resolution number 590 passes. I have a motion to approve resolution number 591, agreement, professional services.
So moved.
Any discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Resolution number 591 passes. I have a motion to approve resolution number 592, agreement, professional services.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Resolution number 592 passes. I have a motion to approve resolution number 593, agreement, professional services.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Resolution number 593 passes. I have a motion to approve resolution number 594, extension of bid and contract, food service program.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Resolution number 594 passes. I have a motion to approve resolution number 595, award of bid, tires.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Resolution number 595 passes. I have a motion to approve resolution number 596, scholarships dissolved.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? I'd just like to comment that we absolutely thank the folks who initiated and sustained these scholarships over the years, and certainly was appreciated, and it certainly was to the benefit of our graduating students. So thank you again for all the years we were able to have these scholarships. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Resolution number 596 passes. I have a motion to approve resolution number 597, budget transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Resolution number 597 passes. We have a motion to approve resolution number 598, placement of students with disabilities.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Resolution number 598 passes. We have a motion to approve resolution number 599, placement of preschool students with disabilities.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Resolution number 599 passes. Resolutions number 600 through 618 are recognized as a consent agenda for the purpose of Board of Education action. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, resolutions number 600 through 618?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The consent agenda, resolutions number 600 through 618 passes. Any other new business? None from me. I would like just to mention that a document with some information was handed out, and the superintendent has a copy, and all the board members will get copies for their review.
Jason, I just want to recognize Stuart Williams for all his service to the district. Thank you very much, Stuart. You'll be missed.
Yes, Stuart has been a part of our board meetings for many years, and he's been a part of just about every single district event, be it 7 a.m., 7 p.m., 11 p.m., Saturday, Sunday, for decades. And we are absolutely very thankful for your service. I believe now we're at the second time for public comment. Thank you. And all are present who heard our guidance at the beginning, so we can just commence. And Mr. Dubuque, would you approach the podium again?
Again, Chris Dubuque, 6 Kaling Drive. Thank you, Dr. Duca. You answered most of the questions I had from my first public comment, so I am all set there. Which actually brings up an issue. Again, I agree that this is an important policy added in the B for belonging in there for DEIB. Again, one of my concerns is, and this affects mostly my family and other families as well, this is a growing district. When we were here in 2008, it was my family and one other Jewish family in the entire district. It has since grown. Many of your faculty are currently Jews. And unfortunately, there's still a huge issue with anti-Semitism. Just this week alone, there was violence outside a synagogue in California. This month alone, on June 11th, we had the Brooklyn Museum director, Ann Pasternak. Her co-op apartment was vandalized with a sign that said, calling her white supremacist Zionist. Then on 6/10, there were masked thugs that got on the subway down in the city that my wife travels a lot down there, also saying, if you're a Zionist, please stand up. Now's your chance to get off the subway. May 9th, my son recently just played for the graduation ceremony and was recently accepted into the Saratoga Youth Symphony. I've got to do my own little recognition there as well. He makes the school proud. He makes me proud. Unfortunately, a family he's also teaching, Orthodox Jewish family that are members of the Saratoga Chabad, one being the rabbi. It's the rabbi's family. Their young girls were chased out of Congress Park by the little-known group All of Us that decided that they are now supporting Palestinians. That's their latest cause, and they decided to chase young kids out of a park. And then it gets a little bit closer to home, because again, that belonging, I wish my son could be here, but he doesn't like staying for these full meetings, especially school's out. But here, you can't really see it, but just here on Ballston Ave, a very well-traveled route, both for when I would drop my one son off and my other son rode the bus and many times would walk by, there's a ceasefire now sign that was up. It's been taken down since school's been done, but it was up. And I just want to read something just real quick that was echoed by a rabbi up in Saratoga recently, because this is real. This isn't a game. The same synagogue I went to that my kids learned Hebrew in and did their bar mitzvah in now has to rotate in private homes where they teach Hebrew because they're afraid of being attacked. And I just want to echo this sentiment that was said here. The only thing standing in the way of a ceasefire is Hamas, a terrorist organization whose reason for existence is to eliminate Israel and kill Jews. For this reason alone, calls for a ceasefire are not a commitment to human rights. They're not an effort to preserve life. Instead, it's a demand that Jews not defend themselves from genocide. To pretend otherwise ignores the reality of the situation and is deeply anti-Semitic and an outright denial of indigenous connection and national rights, that Jews have to Israel. Now, the problem with this sign, if what I'm hearing is correct, belongs to somebody who's on the DEI steering committee. That's a problem. That's a real problem in my eyes. That's why I asked earlier, what's going to be considered harmful? Because my kids don't feel like they belong right now. And that's not this district. We have wonderful administration, wonderful teachers. Again, it was one of your colleagues, or I should say a member of this school district that got the first menorah put up in the village, in the first menorah lighting. Very proud of that, and it will be up every year. But yet, unfortunately, when I'm being told that there's a member of the steering committee, and I'll just put it out there, member of this board who put that sign out in front of their house, I have to question that policy. And I would ask that one person to have at least respect for the slowly growing community of Jews within your community and in your district that feel targeted right now and don't feel like they belong in their own state, their own country, even in their own county, that you at least recuse yourself from voting on that policy. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next up is our associations time. We don't have a representative from any of our associations. PTA announcements?
Yes, so it is the end of the school year. A lot of our PTAs showed their appreciation for staff, holding luncheons in each of our buildings. And now summer is here, but that does not mean the PTAs will take a break. They are actually planning on all events for next year, so you can always reach out to your school's PTA to help out, and don't forget to sign up for your PTAs next year.
Okay, thank you. Any other liaison groups? Okay. So I just want to take a moment here at the end of our meeting to recognize Tim Terbiak for his 3 years of service to our district, to your valuable additions to our board dialogues and our board discussions. And we have a small token of appreciation for you, which I will bring over in one moment. But we very much appreciate your service. And, certainly we are all volunteers. And it's a fair amount of time, and it's a fair amount of concern and worry. And we, again, just thank you so much for your participation with our district and our community. And it's been to the best for everyone. It's been an improvement for everyone having you on the board. So thank you so much.
Yeah, no, it's a absolute pleasure.
Weekend clap.
It was an absolute pleasure to serve on this board with a lot of these great colleagues, and just one voice of many. So I was just happy to be a part of that. So thank you.
Well, good. Thank you much. So we do have reason to go to executive session. We will not be returning to open session afterwards. Our next meeting will be our reorganization meeting on Wednesday, July 10th. I need a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss the employment of a particular person.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.